Hey, my friends, Randy here, as you know, and it is another day of Building Wins Live, and it's a rack and stack number 2 for the day. And I'm kind of not talking to my buddy pal, bodyguard, food stealing producer director West today. He is, never fear, in the back room. I am not running the controls myself because who knows what had happened. So he's still in the back room. He's just under the weather quite a bit today, but as the true professional he is, he's back there running the show behind the scenes. So get better soon, my brother. So, anyways, today we did a rack and stack earlier. Just got off of one with a guy from the solar industry, which was very interesting. And we're about to jump on with a guy that I've known for many, many years, a super brand ambassador of his product, a guy that I work with in the industry, moving some product for him and together. And you're just going to love Ken McDonnell, the founder of Post Protector and Post Preservative, something else we're going to talk about. So let's bring on Ken. There he is. Look at you.
Buddy, how are you?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
Great, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being on, man. I should have mentioned offline before we got on that I was sort of expecting your 10-gallon cowboy hat, but that's okay.
That's only at the shows, man. That's it. I leave that look for there.
Yeah, well, and it's one that I can, if I never have to worry about where Ken and Post Protector's booth is, if I don't already know, because I just walk around until I see this big old hat, and I say, there's Ken. But welcome and thank you for coming on. I love it. It's gonna be great,
absolutely.
Great conversation. So, well, cool. So as we get started, I always first place to start is at the start, right? Who is Ken McDonnell? Where are you from? Give us a little bit about you and how you got started in this world and what led you to where you are today. And then we'll talk about product, the industry, and the incredible value that your products bring to the industry. So first, who in the world is, that's kind of like where in the world is Waldo. We'll do who in the world is Ken McDonnell. How's that?
Well, Jersey boy, transplanted to Pennsylvania. And that's how I got my introduction into pole buildings. 30 years ago, I came to Pennsylvania and I was in single family homes and then transitioned into the pole barn industry. And shortly after, probably 6 months into the pole barn industry, and I had always loved pole barns, always loved their simplicity and flexibility and value, right? Everyone loves pole barns. But I just identified the weak link in post frame being the wood foundation in the ground. And that's what kind of got me to start thinking about a way to eliminate the post decay concern or issue with pole barns.
And so, and you, as I mentioned earlier, you are such a brand ambassador for what you do, which I love and enjoy. So, and nobody tells a story better. And I, having spent 4+ decades in this industry, until I met you, didn't actually understand the amount of decay that can happen with a quote treated post in the ground. Right? We've all been under the impression, great building technique, right? But
Sure.
I never understood until you and I met the what could happen with a post in the ground after a number of years. So you really enlightened me years ago. So walk us through what you found, how you found it, and tell us maybe a 101 degree level here. How post or decay happens, and because I think we need to understand first how it happens before we can just talk about how your product eliminates that risk, I guess is the right word.
Correct. And the one thing that I've learned is that most people, 99.9% of folks, don't understand how decay occurs. They don't understand, the purpose and function of the pressure treating process. And you need to understand all that before you can even start talking about a post protector and how it works. right? So chemical protection is great. Don't get me wrong. The pressure treating process is effective. Over the years, the chemical preservatives have become more environmentally friendly, from creosote to CCA. Um, and, not only are they more environmentally friendly today than they were decades ago, but you have all fast growth wood, right? So it's a lot of softwood, which the decay fungi enjoy feeding on. Um, and what happens when we're pressure treating wood, we're poisoning the wood fiber. It's a pesticide to poison the wood fiber because popular belief is moisture directly causes decay, but moisture doesn't cause decay. Moisture is one of the conditions needed for decay to occur. And I typically explain it like this: when the microorganisms or the decay fungi that are abundant in soil and in atmosphere for that matter, but let's specifically speak to the soil piece. These microorganisms are put on the earth with one job, and that's to recycle the nutrients of dead plants back into the soil to fuel new growth. And what we build with dead plants, correct? We build with dead trees. So what we do is we pressure treat the wood with a pesticide, and what that does is it kills, when you put that post in the ground, it's designed to kill the attacking organisms that want to feed on wood fiber. So decay is the action of these microorganisms feeding on the wood, right? Um, and these microorganisms need four things to survive and thrive. And we call it the four links to the chain of decay, right? Link number one is oxygen. Then we have a suitable temperature range between 40 and 100 degrees. We have moisture as the third link, and a food source being the wood, right? So those are the four links to the chain of decay. In order to break a chain, or let's back up, in order to stop decay, we need to break one of those four links. Okay. So when we pressure treat wood, we're breaking the food source link of the chain of decay. And when we have a pressure treated wood, it's like, okay, go ahead and put it in the ground. We broke the food source link, all the while knowing that the other three links are in place, right?
Right.
Oxygen, temperature, and moisture will be there, right? But the problem with relying on chemical protection alone is that the chemical protection depletes. So every year that passes, your post is becoming less and less poisoned, hence more and more prone to becoming a suitable, desirous food source for the microorganisms. And Mother Nature wins that battle, right? Chemical protection is great, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't take away the food source from the microorganisms forever. So that's why we add a post protector over that wood to permanently separate the wood from the ground where the microorganisms dwell, and permanently putting a physical barrier between those microorganisms and the wood.
Gotcha. So, how long, and this is probably a question that it all determines, there's a lot of factors, but you could put a pole barn up today, a fence, a deck, whatever the case may be, and you're going
Mhm.
to be fine for the next 10 years, probably. Who knows how long that is? But at some point, it's almost like you're born to start dying, unfortunately. The second you put that post in the ground, what you're saying is the amount of protection starts going away very slowly over a period of time. So,
Correct.
in the fact that, just to relive what you just said, so we eliminate one source, one link, if you will, we've
Right.
eliminated that issue. So we're what we're doing it with a post protector is making this pole, a lifetime product, basically, because the fungi and the little critters can no longer get to that wood in the ground because it's no longer against the moisture, the oxygen. Well, good oxygen maybe, but no longer the
Yeah.
moisture. Yeah, so it's a, maybe walk a little bit more into how that
Okay.
actually does that.
All right. Well, first thing is no when you have a job, deck, fence, pole barn, and you get, 10, 20, 30, 50 poles delivered to a job site, no two of those posts are going to have the same longevity index, if you will,
Right.
right? It's density of the wood, it's absorption, retention of the chemical protection from pole to pole to pole. Um, if a post develops a check, right? A split crack in the wood, that's exposing internal non-treated material because, of course, the treatment doesn't isn't absorbed into the center of the post. So you could have in 10 years, two poles start failing, and in 14, another three, and in 18, another four. So it's a moving target when you're asked how long will the poles last. There's a lot of climate, geographic, soil types, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of variables, right? But when
Right.
you put a post protector over that post, you're eliminating all those variables, right? I always say that you simply want to separate that wood from the ground so the microorganisms don't have access to the wood. The post protector material is the same material that they've manufactured landfill liners out of for decades, right? It has a 450-year geo application half life, meaning you bury it, dig it up in 450 years, it looks as the day you put it in the ground. The second half of its life, the second 450 years, it will gradually start breaking down. So it's going to be in place doing its job for a long period of time, for certain.
Hmm. And so, back to circling back quickly, we're talking about that many of those polls, in fairness to the treatment people of the world, right? Many of those
Yeah,
polls could last a long, long time. But
sure.
the problem
Yeah.
is all you need is one or two that go bad reasonably soon.
Yeah.
And it's the old chain, the weakest link thing, right? Now you've got a problem. Now you've got an issue with your building, and that you're going to have to fix. It becomes very costly, especially if it's an interior line product and insulated. I mean, that's not a 2 minute $20 fix, right? So
Correct. Right.
the obvious answer there is spend a few dollars up front and know that you're going to have a lifetime building when it comes to, well, 450 years at least, which is probably long enough. Protection against those kind of issues. So I mean, it almost, when you think about it from that standpoint, a no-brainer, because without really getting into cost, because those are all depends on the route to market and how people buy them, but um, it's not that much of a cost addition to a typical building.
No, it's not. And I mean, my thought is this: pole barns today aren't inexpensive buildings. It's not
Right.
1962, right? It's they're you get a 40 by 60 by 16 with a concrete floor, you're putting out a good bit of money.
Right.
And post protector, and you're doing everything else right. People with pole barns are all about quality. So to allow your foundation to roll the dice with your foundation doesn't make a whole bunch of sense. you
Mm-hmm.
know and post protector is the you know all pole barn products, excuse me, all pole barn foundation products are all designed to do the same thing, and that is to separate wood from ground contact.
Right.
Post protector, I feel, parallels, the thought process of a post frame consumer, right? With respect to uh, high value at a reasonable rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And post protector does that. It separates the posts, and skirt board. We have a skirt board product as
Mm-hmm.
well, right? Retains all that simplicity and in-ground strength and DIY friendliness that makes pole barns so popular, but it eliminates the only red flag in my mind, that flies when you speak about post frame, and
Right.
that's longevity of a wood foundation,
Right.
right?
Well, exactly. And like you said, back to the cost thing. I I wrote an article back a while ago for one of the magazines, and I used the old slogan a little bit, offshoot of the for any of us who remember Oldsmobiles, right? There was a it's not your father's
Yeah.
Oldsmobile, right? And
Yep.
the whole idea was cars are different now. People want snazzy and stylish and not just a mode of transportation. And pole barns are the same thing today. Post frame is can be that inexpensive backyard tool shed animal building that's done as inexpensive as we can, right? But it also we're building Taj Mahals with those things, right? I mean, we're building
No
beautiful
doubt.
backyard buildings with block and brick and beautiful doors and overhead doors and cupolas and porches and eyebrows and dormers and again barn dominiums, right? All being built out of
Right.
post frame. So it like you said, it's kind of not logical to do some type of way to avoid ground contact if you're spending thousands of dollars for a door, thousands and thousands of dollars for a porch, $5,000 for some brick veneer, all these things. And then you can't spend that reasonable amount of money, even if you go to the higher end of what you talked about, alluded to. There, everybody that's in the alternative foundation world, even at the higher end of that, it's still a value, right? It's better than
Sure.
putting. If you compare that, the higher end ways of doing that is still way better than
Not.
spending $250,000 on this pole barn or $80,000 on this beautiful building
Yeah.
to have a foundation issue. I love what you said earlier is the post protector is a DIY friendly, and it's also stays within, as you said, well, the realm of cost effectiveness to still accomplish the same thing, right? Which is avoid
Correct.
the ground contact. So very well
Correct.
said. So what else
And let
before
me
we move
just
on to
jump
the
in,
next product?
Randy. Let me just jump in. I still believe, even with the Taj Mahal pole barns,
Mm-hmm.
the reason folks buy post frame, I'd say 99.9% is the value
Mm-hmm.
of post frame.
Right.
Would you agree with that? You've
Oh,
been doing post frame for a long time.
I
That's what
agree.
attracts everybody is the value. So that's what we try to do. We're like, okay, we'll retain the value and eliminate your foundation longevity concern. And arguably the foundation in any form of construction is the most important piece to
Correct.
that project,
Correct.
right?
Exactly.
So
Well, and people are spending, as you said, the with the new designs and all the things that are happening with post frame that allows you to get that beautiful, beautiful barn, uh, just brings more and more people into that post frame market. And
yeah,
to not offer yourself that extra protection, you spend thousands of dollars more to have a 40 plus year paint system versus the number two paint system, right? Why
right,
do you do that?
exactly.
Because you want it to
Yeah,
last a long, long time.
yeah,
So it's not that people are afraid to spend some extra dollars because we do it every day in life. I mean, some people buy Cadillacs and some people buy a Chevrolet, right? Nothing wrong with either.
right,
But
right.
people will spend more money, and I think that's an area that I just wanted to bring up that for especially for contractors or distributors that think, well, yeah, but we got to keep the cost down. We got to keep the cost down. Well, this is one way to keep the cost down and still offer value. But the point is, don't let your opinion get into the opinion of the contractor or the end user because you just spent $86,000. Could you spend $87,500? Whatever the
Yeah.
number is, right? To
Yeah. I
protect it
talked
for
to
life.
and Randy, this is my 26th year with Post Protector. So I've been around the block, right? And I I got off the phone with a guy this morning, building, I think he said a 20 by 32. he's building it himself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's focused on saving money, right? He's a DIYer,
Mm-hmm.
nights and weekends. Um, and he's like, I wouldn't build this post frame building without a post protector, right?
Right.
Because it's as you said, um, kind of nearsighted not to address it when you're doing all this other stuff.
Right.
And I tell builders all the time, let the consumer decide. Show them that the product exists, and I bet you'll get a high percentage of them that are going to say, "Well, that makes sense," right?
Exactly.
And to replace or to repair a single failed pole is more money than investing in post protector right out of the gate,
Right. Exactly.
you
Exactly.
know,
So
for the
no, that's
entire building. So,
so let's switch gears for a minute. So we've got post protectors. Well, let me back up real quick. Obviously, you make them, not obviously, that's why we're going to talk about it. You make them for all sizes of posts, solid saws, laminated columns. So it doesn't matter
correct.
which way you're going. You're going to
Right.
have a post protector to fit that particular need.
Yep.
So perfect. So,
Solid and nail and glue
yep,
lams on the laminated
yes,
stuff,
got them.
and
Perfect.
different lengths based on your project, and your post embedment depth, etc.
Gotcha.
And
So
like you said earlier, fences,
fences,
decks,
decks,
pergolas, pole
yep,
barns, etc.
anywhere,
Right.
anywhere you're putting a pole in the
Yep.
ground. You got it.
Anywhere you're putting a pole on the ground, and we're doing if you can see that, we got a new two-piece ceiling finish cap to finish off the top edge of the post protector, and it also seals out precip, for the outdoor post
Mm-hmm.
applications, fence, deck, barn door.
Yep.
Um, there's drainage in the design of the post protector, but this cap gives it a cosmetically pleasing look and seals it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Post protector and the skirt board protector. I know you've seen this before, but it's a giant J trim, and the 1.5 inch up the backside is towed in, so you get a compression fit over your 2 by. So the post protector and skirt board protector together give you 100% no soil wood contact on a pole barn, traditional pole barn construction method.
Love it. Love it. And like with the cap, now you've entered another market of making the deck or the fence look cosmetically prettier, right? By putting that
There's
cap.
no question.
And
Right.
like you said, it does keep the moisture out. Not that that's a big deal, but it still keeps the moisture out for people that are concerned about that. But
Yep.
probably cosmetically is the big thing. It just looks nice.
And the barn dominium porch posts. Every barn
Exactly.
has a porch, right?
Right.
So
Exactly.
so yeah, it's a nice look,
Exactly.
really nice.
Exactly.
And you
Okay, so
just trim the post protectors to a uniform height,
mhm,
a bunch your above your pad
above
on
it.
a
Right.
barndo, like 4 to 6 inches, and add the cap. It's nice, very
It looks
nice.
looks beautiful. Love it. So we're protecting new construction with a post protector.
That's
Uh,
right.
what do we do? 'Cause I know the answer, but what do we do when you got a poles in the ground and you're listening to what we're talking about today and you're going, okay, that's great, Ken. When I build a new building, I'm going to use these, but I got this pole barn that's pretty nice, looks pretty good, got my 40-year metal, it still looks pretty, but now I'm a little worried because what's happening to my poles? Or I'm starting to see where I'm experiencing some problems. Uh, what do we do about that? Does Ken McDonnell have an answer? I think he
Well, we
does.
have an answer, and it's pretty. It's like ground shaking, in my opinion.
hmm
So anyone that has a deck or a fence or a pergola or a pole barn with treated posts in the ground, it's not maybe, it's 100% certain that the chemical depletes over time. No ifs, ands, or buts, right?
Right.
Um, so I'm going to say 5 years ago, I was driving and spotted guys, and I'm sure everybody has seen techs working on utility poles.
hmm
And I've seen them from time to time. And then finally, I'm like, I got to pull the truck over. And I, jumped out of the truck, introduced myself, told these guys, hey, I'm in wood protection as well. Here's my product, explained the product, and, asked them what they were doing. And one of the things they do, and this is on a regular basis that I did not know, they will drill in on a 45-degree angle into the utility poles. And what they're doing two things. They check for core decay, right? That's when the center of the wood, center of the pole or post is being eaten by the microorganisms because it never, you know, treatment never penetrated to that point. So they check the shavings to see what the condition is, number one. And number two, they add a solid copper boron preservative stick, right? And what this does, it's remedial treatment and it's internal treatment. So it's treating from the inside out, where pressure treating is from the outside in, right? Um, so here is a solid preservative stick, copper boron, right? So what I did was I found out the chemical preservative manufacturer that made the product, contacted them, um, you know, identified myself. I'm in wood protection. They're like, "Oh yeah, we know you from LinkedIn. We see your stuff on LinkedIn." And they love barrier protection. And when I tell you, backing up to barrier protection, wood scientists, chemical preservative manufacturers, um, treaters who understand decay and how decay occurs, they all love post protector. And they call it barrier protection because what we talked about earlier, it's a physical barrier
Mhm.
separating the post from the ground and the microorganisms that dwell within. Anyway, so so after a couple of years of going back and forth, well, let's continue on the remedial treatment. So I find out when I contacted these folks, they've been manufacturing this for over 30 years. They've been selling it internationally just in the industrial sector, um, and go through millions and millions upon millions of these sticks. And I pitched them to allow me to bring this technology into the retail sector, as they only sold to utilities for utility poles and railroads for railroad ties. And I'm like, come on, we need it. Decks, fence, pole barns, we need this product. Um, so April last year, um, I rolled out same technology, identical technology. They resized the sticks, of course, because we're doing 4x4s and 6x6s and 3x6s, etc. Up to typically 8x8s. So they just downsized the stick size, and all EPA approved. So you don't have to wear a hazmat suit or gloves and etc. to work with it. It's a glass-like stick. And just like the utilities have been doing to the utility poles, where they revisit the poles in every 6 to 8 years and will just drill out the plugs and insert a new stick, you can now do on pole barns, decks, fences. So we have a nice little 24-piece kit, 24 sticks, 24 plugs, same date tag you see on utility poles. And that kit will retreat 24 4x4s or 12 6x6 posts. So, and with the date tag, you just punch out the year you do it. And, every 6 to 8 years, you go back, drill it out, and add a new stick. And so, how it works is when your post is at 25% moisture content or greater, the solid stick will dissolve. And through osmosis, the moisture in the pole will bring that chemical preservative to wherever chemical has been depleted. So it's smart as to where it retreats as well. which is quite interesting. And, common reach is 12 inches southbound and 6 inches northbound from where that stick lands inside your pole.
Okay. Okay. So there's obviously 24 inches down, 12 inches up. You said, right?
No, typically 12 inches southbound
South. Okay.
and 6 inches
Six.
northbound.
Okay. So
Correct.
there's obviously a science or an art. Not a, I guess it'd be a science to where you want to place this on the pole. You don't want to go up 4 feet in the air and drill a hole.
Correct.
You're gonna
Yeah.
get down close to ground
Typically,
level.
like on a 6x6 for a pole barn or a deck, if your soil backfill, you take a shovel full of dirt out of one side of your 6x6, go 4 to 6 inches below grade and, drill on a 45-degree angle, typically a 4-inch hole. You want the hole to end up in the center of the post. Put one there and then go to the opposite side of the pole and do one a couple of inches above grade
Gotcha.
on a 6x6. If you're concrete encased and you have a 6x6, you do two on a common plane just above grade,
Gotcha.
you know, and decay happens um, typically, within, the grade line, 12-inch below
Hmm.
grade is where decay happens, max 18 inches below grade for two reasons. You need oxygen is one of the links to the chain of decay. The deeper you go, you starve out oxygen.
Yep.
Number one. Number two, in soil backfill, the microorganisms want to dwell in the nutrient rich topsoil. So the deeper you go, you're starving out microorganism or wood destroying organism population. That's why if you've ever swapped out a failed fence pole, you get down 12 inches or so, and all of a sudden the pole is fine again,
Right.
in good
Right.
shape. That's the reason, you
Wow.
know.
So I remember a couple of years ago, I think when you literally ran across a show floor hall someplace to show me this product. I said, dude, you got to see this. It really, what I love about it is it makes so much sense. You can now take your building and feel that I can still have a somewhat forever building, right? And thirdly, it's an incredibly cost effective, easy fix when you consider uh, a couple packs of those or whatever it takes to fix to retreat your building, and you're not going to do it
Yeah.
again for 6 to 8 years. Uh, it becomes almost, yeah, I mean, becomes pennies to do this.
Yeah. And a couple of things there. Okay. So number one, I just want to state for the record, um, chemical preservative manufacturers and wood scientists and utilities, they are savvy, consumers, these utilities.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's not if the product works, the product for 30 years has been a proven performer. So that's
Right.
number one, right? We know it works. It's the identical technology. Secondly, we know, and the utilities know, and chemical preservative manufacturers and wood scientists all know that your preservative depletes. No ifs, ands, or buts, right? And we've all been conditioned to rely on I coined a phrase, a one dose PT post, right? You get one dose of chemical and that's it, you're done. There's been no way to maintain chemical preservative levels until this product, right? So we know the importance of re upping chemical. With respect to the cost, well, let me go back. 6 to 8 years is the average that utilities come back to each utility pole to maintain it. The chemical preservative manufacturer, who owns this technology, says that each treatment is good for up to 10 years.
Okay.
Okay, so it's up to you. Some guys want to re-up it every 5 years, and when you reload it, and that's the beauty of it, you can reload it. You just drill out the plug, right? And here's the plug, if you can see that, Randy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
That it's a 3/8 inch hole that you drill. That's it, and you plug it. You just drill that plug out and insert another stick in that same location. Okay.
Gotcha.
Cost is actually completely minuscule to retreat a 4x4 post on the retail front is don't tell me $3.75
Wow.
in materials retail. A 6x6 where the loading is 2 sticks, then it's $7.50 to retreat a 6x6 post. So I mean, it's
It's
so affordable, it's ridiculous.
well, exactly, because you divide that over even 5 years, 6 years, 8 years, 10
Right.
years, whatever it is,
Yeah.
it becomes, like I said,
Yeah.
almost nothing. Uh,
Yeah.
Forget a candy bar for a couple of days, a week, and you're retreating your barn, right? Your post. So no, I think
And when
it's a
you accept the fact that Mother Nature wins that battle,
mhm,
when you put a wooden treated pole in the ground and that no two posts have identical longevity indexes, and with new treatment, I get calls from people that in 2 years they're having
mhm,
failure issues. Um, and the folks that make this for me say that there's utilities that are putting new utility poles in the ground, and they're preloading this
hmm,
in the in the utility poles before they even put them in the ground,
wow,
right?
yeah.
So
Well, yeah, the beauty of it, Ken, is that it's proven by science. And it's proven by people doing this for 30 some years. These utility companies, they know what they're doing, because I think you
yeah,
told me once it's approximately $6,000 to replace the utility pole. I think
yeah,
was the
they're
number.
no dummies.
There, yeah.
There's 200 million utility poles in the U.S. alone, and you hit the nail on the head. Average R&R, removal and replacement, is 6 grand, and a complete pain in the butt for them to do,
hmm
perform. And they want to, get every year of longevity they can out of each of these poles.
right.
So that's why they do this,
Yeah, beautiful, good
and
stuff.
that's why you see utility poles last for generations,
hmm
because they maintain them. Where, consumers in the retail sector, pole barns, fence deck, etc., there's no way to maintain, you know, their utility, or, poles like utility poles until post
So
preserved
now,
came on the scene.
so this seems to fall in an absolute no-brainer category, doesn't it? I mean, there's just zero reason to not do it.
I'll tell you, Randy, with the addition of post preservative, right, the
hmm
retreatment technology, and the addition of the finished ceiling cap,
hmm
um, my wood protection collection is 5 star.
Yeah.
And if I could go to a 6 star, I'd be happy to do so. And like you said, my enthusiasm and excitement at working these shows, it's because not only do I love the collection,
hmm
but I know it works.
Right.
I know it's simple, affordable, attractive, effective, right?
Yep. Yeah. And the bottom line is all good salespeople. You're always going to be better if you're selling a product works, you believe in it, and you trust it. It's hard to sell something you don't believe in effectively,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and and nobody believes in their product better than you. I've said that earlier, and as do I, which is why I'm happy to be involved with you. Huge opportunity on both sides. Protect your new build, keep your old build that's beautiful and great and served you for generations. Keep it there forever, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. Love it. So I know you've been very kind with your time. I said we'd go about 30 minutes. We're already 10 minutes past that, but I knew we would be.
Sorry
Uh,
about that, buddy.
no, that's all me. This is good stuff. We could go another hour, but we're not going to, because Wes needs to go to bed. Should ask questions. What did I miss? Let's finish this out 30, 60 seconds here with anything. People can know how to get a hold of you by watching
All right.
the streaming across the bottom, but just get a
I
host
guess
protector,
I
man.
guess one of the things is post protector for any consumer, right? Number one, call me. I love talking shop. You're
hmm
not going to get a voicemail. You're going to get me, and I'll give you as much time as you need to understand. To make, I always tell folks that thank me for taking the time. That's my job, and you need facts to make decisions, and that's what I want to give them, the
Right.
facts, right? Number one. Number two, um, Post Protector, HomeDepot.com, Lowe's.com, TractorSupply.com. Post preservative, if you need it, if you're a DIY guy or your builder doesn't, can't source it or whatever. And of course, call me too. Post preservative, HomeDepot.com, Lowe's.com, TractorSupply.com, Amazon.com as well.
Okay. Perfect. And if they want to call you, you can't forget this one: 1-877 want rod. I mean, is that
All
cool or
right.
what?
We got all bases covered,
I
and we
love it.
love to talk shop. Like I said, call me. Be happy to chat.
Love it. Ken, thank you. I appreciate you being on, my brother.
I appreciate you. Thanks for
You
having me.
absolutely anytime. We'll chat soon. Okay.
Okay, bud.
All right.
See ya.
Thanks. See you.
Thanks.
Cheers. You
See ya.
bet, buddy. There you go. The one and only Ken McDonnell, the ambassador, brand ambassador of Post Protector, Post Preservative. Easy for me to say. And I tell you, folks, I've been 4+ decades in this wonderful post frame industry, and this is the real deal. Both ends of this is the real deal. So reach out to Ken. Reach out to me. But reach out. It's a great product. So that's it for today. So remember, I'm doing it right now. Ken was doing it right now. Wes is, but he's not feeling well. But we're doing what we love, loving what we do. That's important. We get one go around in life, so live it, love it, own it. And remember, make today your best day ever. Till tomorrow, let's go. Cheers.